You're tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akaman. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey everybody! Welcome to the Legend of Korra After Show, Episode 5, Enemy at the Gates. Do you have your Jude Law jokes ready to go, Tori Miller?
They're right here in my pocket, John.
Excellent. That appears to just be your hand, and you reached into nothingness. So does nobody get my emails? Are we not prepared ever on the show? No. Just no. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, expect a lot of puns and references to an early aughts movie starring Jude Law set in Stalingrad. As with Enemy at the Gates, we're going full Law.
Yes.
But, ladies and gentlemen, introductions first. I'm John Quick, and joining me this week is Mr. Tori Miller.
Hey, hey.
And unfortunately, Miss Liz Rishmawi came back from Japan, and she caught a sudden case of death, or, I mean, not death, sorry.
Sudden case of death.
Sorry, no, I meant dying. We were joking about that earlier. That's, wow.
Yeah, she's alive, very much so. But she is super jet lagged and sick. Send her your well wishes on the Twitters and all that stuff.
And hopefully she will be back with us next week to talk about future episodes. But let's go ahead and unpack this episode. And it gets true to its name. We start off credits up, you know,
Credits open.
Credits over. Fade in. We just have we have the entire Earth Empire army marching on Zaofu.
Yeah, it was such a sight. Like, I mean, it really showed how much Kuvira has essentially gathered her empire, and like her army is bigger than what anyone that has ever seen before. Nope, I'm gonna use words in a string of sentences. Anyways, it was a massive army, and everyone knew that she meant business.
Yeah, it reminded me like of the opening scenes in Last Airbender, when you would have that like reveal of the Fire Nation army. It was like, you know, all the ships and the troops like just coming in through the background. Like this is, I mean, there are a lot of allusions, and a lot of people have been pointing out, from Kuvira to Sozin. Mm-hmm. And this is just, I think, just another one of them. I think that the creators of the shows that we're going to see later, Kuvira mirroring Sozin's words to Avatar Roku.
Right.
And as I think those allusions are going to keep going, and that's where we're going with that. Talking today is difficult.
Yeah, I mean, our minds are so blown with this episode that we just can't even get through it.
That's the excuse we're going with. Well, much like our minds are blown, like the security force of Zaofu is immediately like ringing the bells. And like, you know, it's like alert Su Yin, and we just see Su Yin like doing the dramatic elevator ride that you always see in like, you know, these tense kind of situations. She gets back up, and her husband's like, we need to inform President Raiko. He'll send the United Forces. And she's just like, call whoever you want. They'll never get here in time.
Yeah. I mean, because there's no way that Zaofu could defend itself. It's like probably 100-something people strong against this massive force. And like,
who are mostly metal benders, because it's made up of a lot of citizens from Zaofu, not just including Batar and Kuvira. And even then, like, okay, none of your defenses are going to work because, well, one of the people that's attacking helped design them.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, at this point, she would have to hope for the diplomatic solution. But, I mean...
But Sue's not hoping for a diplomatic solution. Sue wants to go to war. I almost think if she had a big red button that was just like a blow it all up, just so that Kuvira couldn't get it, I'm not like certain that she wouldn't press it.
Yeah, well, because she's so stubborn. She's definitely Toph's daughter. But can you blame her? I mean, this is a community that she's built with her own 2 hands. She's raised it from nothing, and then now it's this person that was her understudy trying to take it away from her.
Well, not just her understudy, her son, and her son has like some of the harshest words. So we go from Su Yin in the Zaofu command room, and now we're on the train with Kuvira and Batar. And Batar is almost giddy with the knowledge that, you know, he's like, I'm ready to take this by force. Like, I'm not sure where his, like, we only get a hint as to where his resentment is coming from, but it is like vicious.
I mean, he obviously has like daddy issues as we find later, but like, I mean, to me, his character has always kind of come off as someone who's just trying to like prove himself for the sake of making himself seem like someone important. It doesn't actually feel to me like he is really behind this 100%, more just like he's doing it because he feels like it's what he needs to do as someone who's part of Kuvira's gang.
I guess so. And even as well as Kuvira points out to him, like, you know, the eyes of the world, like, the eyes of the world are honest. Like, after she did her big proclamation, like, a couple of episodes ago, she knows that the world leaders are watching, and Zaofu is this shining utopia. So if she just goes in and wrecks it, you know, she knows it's going to reflect badly on herself. And as she says, like, she wants to use Bo Lin to apparently talk Su Yin into giving up peacefully.
Right. Well, why Bo Lin of everybody? I mean, I get that he's super lovable, but he's in no way a diplomat. I mean, he's good with like kids and animals, but like there's no way he could talk politics. There's no way he could broker a deal between 2 people.
Well, especially since like we're learning that in this episode, the Kuvira has been using some really, really dictatory methods elsewhere, and Sue is like fully aware of them. But I think that she has a bigger plan, and we'll get into that into predictions much later on here as to what her like eventual plan is. But you know, as she's putting up this facade of she doesn't want to fight, we're seeing also approaching now Zaofu. We have Korra and the kids flying in on Left. That's not Lefty. It's Pepper.
Pepper, yeah.
Flying in on Pepper, and Milo just excited because Avatar fight.
I feel like he was the reflection of the audience, where it's like, you guys are gonna fight, right? And she's like, no, and it's like, but you're the Avatar. Like, that's what you do. It's the only, you only solve things with your fists.
Admittedly, that's all Korra does, but
yeah.
We see Korra, like we've talked at least in last season how Korra has changed, and we're seeing a lot more of that. But we also see the uncertainty in her. She's just like, I'm gonna try something new, and I don't know how it's going to work because I'm not that good at it.
Yeah, I mean, because Aang probably could have pulled it off. Like he is a smooth talker, like, and he has a sense of zen about him. But like she has, as we said, always solved things with like violence. If it can be beat up, it can be solved. But like, and this is actually super refreshing as an audience member to see her trying to figure out everything that she's essentially learned from her villains and trying to see how she can apply it.
Well, it'll be an interesting experiment, and speaking of experiments, every single time Varric shows up, now we're going to Varric and the Spirit Vine experiment. Every single time Varric does something, like, I know he's in a lot of ways a despicable human being and a despicable character, but I love watching him. I guess it's because like he's kind of like Robert Downey. He's a kid's version of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. Right. He really is. Just handing off, like, we found out, like, he's been making up his own measurement units, like, this weighs 2 he hands Julie the piece of Spirit Vine, saying that it weighs 2 Julies. Yeah, I like that Julie's are weight and Varric's are energy. Yeah, like measurements of power versus measurements of weight. Just goes to show how Varric can, you know, view his most loyal assistant, which will come back to bite him. But I'd like to see the conversion, the chart of conversion for that. How many Julies are in a pound? Well, you know, I'm sure they've actually made it up. I mean, they made up the entire board to pro bending and the rules to how that works. I would be very surprised if they didn't. Somebody on the internet, get on that. Give us a Julie conversion chart from either pounds or grams.
Yes, I need it. I need this. If I'm going to start my own avatar measurement system that'll be accepted by the United States and Europe, the unifying measurement system, I'm going to need a chart, guys.
And people, you know, without a chart, there's no way the government's going to take us seriously when we go in telling them that we need to weigh everything in Julie's. No way whatsoever. But as we see Varric talking about, like, basically his, I guess, the unified theory of spirit vines, as he's saying that these vines are just a manifestation of some kind of unstable energy, and he's trying to figure out a way to take that energy from the vines and store it in some kind of like battery
form, yeah.
And as we see, like, you know, the mad scientist, you know, flip the switch, like it's just like 2 Varrics, 3 Varrics, 5 Varrics, and then just everything goes wrong. It's apparently just this small strip of vine just has far too much energy for him to contain.
Yeah. I mean, it blasts a hole into the back of the train.
With a scream of, there are too many Varrics! And boom! Just coming out the back, which then we get to see Varric do something somewhat heroic before he completely screws it up, as he saves Julie while criticizing her weight.
Yeah. You lose a few Julies.
And then he pulls her right and he goes, "Sir, you saved me." "Of course I did." It's like, without you, how would I clean this mess up? Get a broom.
Aww. I thought they were going to have such a touching moment there.
It was set up for it to be a very touching moment. Even Varric's like expression in the animation was like lover eyes animation. You've seen it in anime and everything else.
Yeah. With the sparkles and the shine.
Yeah, like that just needed to be in. If that was in there, I think it would have been a bit over the top, but
maybe.
I'm sure it could have been put in there. Maybe it was on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Some sad animators like, but I put the swizzle lines.
But they put the sparkles. But of course, when we see like outside the train, just the massive it blows out the entire back part of that car.
Yeah.
And then we see Kuvira running in. It's just like, what happened? Are we under attack? And then Varric, for some inexplicable reason, has grown a conscience. And is telling her, like, we cannot continue this experiment. This is far too dangerous.
Yeah.
And Batar's just like, this has never been a concern of yours before.
Varric grows a conscience. It's super ineffective.
I like how he's describing it. It's like there's this voice in my head telling me right from wrong. And Julie's like, that's your conscience, sir. I have one of those? Well, I have one of those now. I guess we got to shut it off. And then Kuvira immediately, like, going to Darth Vader references. Kuvira is essentially force choking him, leading him over the track, saying, "It's like, well, now the voices in my head are telling me that you need to die. Should I just go with it?" And he goes, "No, voices in your head are liars. They're always liars."
Man, just him him becoming a righteous character in that moment served really well to kind of counter her dark her showing her true colors, essentially. But I want to know what her plan is for these vines.
The only thing that I can think of with these vines is, like, because they're such a super weapon, and again, going back to the analogy with Sozin used a super weapon, which was the comet, to destroy the Air Nation, which was then going to be used by Ozai to destroy the Earth Kingdom. As we've seen with, like, each one of these enemies, they use a super weapon for absolute annihilation. I think that Kuvira knows that once she takes Zaofu, that other world leaders may be coming for her, because there's still the Fire Nation, there's still the Water Tribes, and there's still the United Forces, and none of them are really all that cool with what she's doing. But more than that, there's also the Avatar. She needs something like we've seen that literally nothing can really stand up to the Avatar when they're in the Avatar state, short of a complete sneak attack.
Right. Or metal poison. but that's neither here nor there.
Well, yeah, the metal poison was getting her eventually, but they induced it. That aside, we're going to continue on.
Right.
Yeah, which as they're approaching Zhao Fu, Kuvira and Baatar decide that they're going to cue Bolin into their inner circle, as they say, because Bolin, like, he's kind of a hapless idiot, but he may in a lot of ways, but he may, like, I can see why Kuvira keeps him around. He makes a fantastic mascot. Like, not only is he world famous as like a mover star and a friend of the Avatar, he's such an affable, lovable goof that when he tells people everything's going to be all right, I think
they believe him.
Yeah. And they want him to negotiate with Sue, because Kuvira, I don't think Kuvira for a second believes that they can take Zhao Fu without resorting to force, but she wants to give the pretense of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely shows as a gesture that, hey, you know, I used this person who everyone knows and loves to broker a deal, and it didn't work. If he can't do it, then no one can.
Yeah. And we see, but you know, we also know, like, Bolin is starting to, like, see the facade crumble, like, as like the shutters open up and he reveals that, like, they're on the train and he sees the entire army, and he just says, "Don't you think the army sends the wrong message that we're here for peace?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "This is just a show of force," and it's like, and even he is like, he's not, like, even he, like, if Bolin is starting to see the cracks in your master scheme plan, then yeah, you're starting to get transparently evil.
Well, I'm glad it, like, finally came to a head, because, like, it was kind of bothersome that he was so blind to everything that she was doing. No matter what anyone told him, whether it be Mako or Opal, like, he just wasn't having it. And then finally now the curtain's gone and he sees through her evilness. Yep.
I get, or just like her, he's starting to see her ambition, which even when he gets into, like, the room for the negotiations, like, so much tension, there's so much bad blood in there. Because first off, Su Yin wants to, I think, smack her son and kill Kuvira.
Yeah.
And there's just no getting around any of that. Like, all of the family in there, and Bolin is trying to bring everyone together, but even as Ofa said, "You've chosen your side," and Bolin's like, "Well, but there's no sides here. Come on, guys. We're all on the same team," and, like, he doesn't even realize that there's a game playing.
Right.
And just at the end of I do love it how, like, at the end of the day, even though he's trying to convince everybody, and he goes up to Wing and Wei and he's just like, "Come on, guys, high five," and they're, like, ignoring him and saying, "Oh, fine, that's cool." And then Su Yin just confronts Kuvira and, like, "I can't believe you tried to use Bolin." And I guess it's comforting to know that other people don't see Bolin for kind of the puppet that Kuvira is using him for, as opposed to truly believing. Because if I knew Bolin, I don't know if I would really believe that he could go along with everything that Kuvira does.
Right. I mean, yeah, because he's so innocent to a fault that not in a million years you'd think that he would be this right hand to a dictator. But, like, and that's still what gets me, is that, like, and I'm glad that at a certain point he's like, "Oh yeah, this is the thing," and they try to get away. Because if he would have continued after this point, it would have been so out of character that you kind of would have wished him gone.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't have really been himself. And I mean, after, like, Kuvira drops the ultimatum on Sue, it says, "You have 24 hours or I'm coming in."
Yeah.
Which I think, like, there was some reviewers online that were saying that it's just like, "Oh, that's a weird flip-flop for her." I think that was a calculated move, which we'll get into predictions as to what I think she's going to use that for. But as they leave and Bolin is with her and Baatar back on the train, and he's just like, "Do we really have to resort to violence?" And she's like, "I gave her, like, all the options in the world." And he's like, "Well, why can't we just let this one go? Like, why do we have to take literally everything?"
Yeah.
I mean, he does kind of have a point, because even though Zhao Fu was within the Earth Kingdom before, it wasn't like the Earth Queen seemed to be able to enforce anything upon them.
Yeah.
Like, it almost would be just like, you know, it's like, why not just leave Zhao Fu alone?
Well, because I mean, I'd say it's twofold. If you let one place go, then that shows leniency, and it would make the other territories go, well, why can't we be our own separate state? And then on the other hand, it's also super personal for Kuvira, because I mean, she actively, she believed in Suyin, and then essentially they had their parting of ways, and so she has to prove that she was right in the end.
Yeah, and we seen like Bolin in this moment where he's just like, I don't think I'm inner circle material. When he was talking about, it's like, you know, because Opal in the scene before was telling him, it's just like, haven't you been to the places like after she leaves? There's forced labor, there's conscription there, and if anybody defies, they go into re-education camps. And then we see Bolin on the train. He's like, well, you know, and like as he's starting to put these together, he's like, well, you know, Opal's kind of right. We've never gone back to any of those places. I don't know what happens to them. What exactly does? And then when Kuvira gets into his face about him like questioning, you know, her leadership, and she tells him, it's like, we might need to send you to a re-education camps, and he's just like, I thought we were sending people there to learn new trade skills. Is that's not what's happening? Because I guess like maybe they don't have it, but like anytime you hear there's never been a positive connotation with we're sending you to a re-education camp.
Right. Yeah, no, I couldn't even imagine a place. It's like, we're a re-education camp. We're going to teach you new things. It's like, no, we're going to change everything that you know. Brainwashing has never exactly been, you know, a positive thing, which I don't even know, like, I don't know if it's like necessarily a brainwashing thing that's going on there, or just it's just like beatings will continue until morale improves. Right. I mean, yeah, I'm assuming it's kind of like what the Dai Li were doing with the Airbenders in the last season, where it's like they're gathering anyone who is dissenting and going, you're going to do this, otherwise you'll die or you'll be stuck here forever.
And so, like, we just see that, like, even though, like, Bolin is like, no, I'm loyal, and, like, does the little salute, but, like, you can tell that, one, he's gone from now. He can't stay, and Kuvira also sees that, which puts Bolin in a very dangerous place.
Right.
But speaking of dangerous places, as now Korra has come into Zaofu along with the kids, and she's talking with Sue, and Korra's trying to get a feel for the situation. And Korra's been out of the world, so she doesn't quite know what Kuvira has been up to. And she asks Sue, like, well, what exactly happened to cause all of this? And then we see in this flashback of Tenzin and Raiko came to Suyin 3 years ago to basically ask her to do what Kuvira, you know, then ended up doing.
Right.
And Suyin refused. And at that moment, like, Kuvira was just like, shouldn't we do this? Zaofu, you know, shouldn't we share our culture with other people as opposed to denying it?
Well, I mean, but I see Suyin's point in that, like, she couldn't, there's no way to go around, like, you know, bringing order without becoming a dictator. I mean, I think that Suyin would have been more inclined once they were all united to give her seat up, but she's also not a fan of like kings and queens anyway, so why she would essentially be becoming what she didn't want to be in the first place.
But then, like, even as President Raiko said, it's just like it's created a power vacuum. We need somebody to take it. And really, I gotta fault Suyin for not doing anything at this moment. Like, if it's not like somebody is going to step into power right now, if you don't, like, we know, like, you know, it's just like one of those things, like, Suyin is just one of the, like, maybe she could have united, and then, like, afterwards she would have actually abdicated power, but, like, we know for a fact that Kuvira isn't. Right.
Well, but that's the thing that gets me, is that, like, if anything, they're placing all this burden on one person, where they could have easily tried to gather the leaders of all the different nations and been like, all right, we're going to try to put our armies together and then bring order as a united front, as opposed to going, hey, you're a leader in the Earth community, you do it.
I guess so, but it's also one of those things of, like, if they did that, if the United Republic and the other ones, they would be straight up invaders. Where if it's Suyin that does it, then, like, the other members of the Earth Kingdom would have a much easier time, like, you know, accepting it, I guess.
Maybe.
But like either way, like, you know, Suyin's refusal causes Kuvira to basically, I guess, like, plot a rebellion. She says she's taking the entirety of Zalfu's, like, defense force, some of its richest citizens, and, you know, Batar are all, like, they just get into these airships and they leave to go to Ba Sing Se to restore order. And after her success at Ba Sing Se, that's when the other world leaders were just like, okay, yeah, somebody did it. All right, here, you're the provisional, like, you know, ruler de jure. And then everything just kind of went south from there. But I do think, like, in those early stages when we see Kuvira, I don't know when the dictator took over. Because I think in the beginning, Kuvira was right in that somebody needed to step up and she was willing to do it. But I don't think that, I don't know at what point that change occurred.
I mean, I'm sure we'll find out as it goes on, but I mean, I assume that as she was going along and saw how successful she was becoming, and also how she was gaining so many supporters, to her it only made sense that she would rule the whole empire. And
then Sue at that moment, as Korra's trying to find a diplomatic solution, Sue is just like, no, just smash. Just go Korra smash on her. And of course, as you know, we see like right afterwards, Korra doesn't smash. Korra actually goes and has a conversation with Kuvira in which, like, she tries to get Kuvira to stand down, but Kuvira basically, like, hits her back with, I've had to make a lot of tough decisions while you've been out of the world to make this right. And I think if, like, and all of it sounds good until you remember the re-education camps.
Right.
And, you know, I guess, like, because Korra doesn't know about that, that's, like, the one thing that, like, once that gets out, nobody's going to be on her side.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, and I'll get into predictions with this, but, like, I mean, now we're going to get to experience it later on.
Yeah. Which, you know, we're going to see some people get sent to the re-education camps, namely Bolin. So...
Yes.
Bolin, like, after he, you know, basically learned his lesson, breaks Varric and Julie out of, you know, out of their car in their prison, and they steal, like, 3 mechs and are, like, trying to march off into the sunset. And Bolin is trying to tell them, it's like, we have to go back and help Zalfu. And Varric, being basically kind of the coward that he is like, no, we should go to the, you know, the United Republic and warn them, because that puts me over there,
right,
where the action isn't.
Classic Varric.
But then, like, right on their heels comes Batar and two other Earthbenders in their mechs, and then we get what is undoubtedly the best fight scene I've seen.
Yes.
In, like, I don't want to say this is the best fight scene in the series, but it might as well be, because they're mechs.
Yes, it was great. And just, like, having these mechs essentially simulate, like, other bending and all that stuff, and just man, the collaboration of 3D animation and 2D animation, it was ridiculous.
Coming to get, like, yeah, like the just the wires moving out of the way, the flamethrowers, the lightning bolts, it was so, like, it was awesome. But then it was also great to see how Bolin was able to undo almost all of it with just good old-fashioned magma bending.
Oh yeah.
Just takes 2 of them straight out in one go, and, like, everything looks good until Batar holds up Varric, and then that's when everything's over, and they're brought before Kuvira, who's gonna lay a sentence down on them. Like, basically, she's going to send Julie and Bolin to their harshest re-education camp, and then Varric is going to be locked up to continue to work on what's basically the Avatar universe's Manhattan Project.
Right.
But it's this moment that we see just something break apart. Do you want to go? You want to reveal this one?
Sure. At this point, we get Julie, who is very little spoken up until now, begging for forgiveness, and she essentially relinquishes all loyalty to Varric and pledges to Kuvira in order to escape these re-education camps. And I personally was wondering if it was legitimate or if she is having a play.
I don't quite know on that. It seemed legit to me.
Yeah.
But you could be very right. I mean, Varric is a kind of guy who always thinks ahead, and I wouldn't be surprised if in future episodes, like, what do you mean, Julie, betray me? Psh, you gotta be kidding, kid.
Yeah.
But she tells the guards to do the thing.
Yes. Best betrayal line ever.
And as far as we can tell, it looks like just Bolin is just, I guess he's on the next train to Re-Education City.
Yeah. He's going to learn some trades,
Which,
like torture and sadness.
And how to receive all of those. But, and then let's like and then just to kind of like wrap all of that up with them, we see like after Korra has gotten back to Zaofu, after talking with Kuvira, she finds out from Su-Yin's husband that Su-Yin and then Wing and Wei have snuck out of Zaofu and are going to basically make an assassination attempt on Kuvira, and that's where credits.
Yeah.
Which is like a great out.
Yeah. Man, I am excited for that assassination attempt. Though, like, I mean, it's politically the worst move you can make.
It really is, but you know, there was a minor C story going on in this episode. Only really had like 2 or 3 scenes between Asami and her father Hiroshi, which was weird when we like when we had like in the setup going into the episode, is like we were getting the recap that they mentioned Hiroshi's. We haven't seen him in almost 2 seasons, and now he comes in, and now we see him and Asami meeting, and there's this just like completely mirroring what's going on as we see in Zaofu, the family falling apart with Hiroshi and her father. We see them like finally like coming back together.
Yeah.
Which the only thing that I can think of is like why, like, I mean, it's a great scene to show, like, just to give us more Asami time, because, you know, no complaints there.
Yeah,
but then,
seriously.
But then also, like, that has to be that they're bringing Hiroshi back in his big redemptive moment, and I'm doing predictions right now. We're going into predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Yeah, you had a much better job doing that. Thank you. But I think that Hiroshi is going to be introduced, and his big redemption moment is he's going to basically build what is ever like the counter mechs, because he designed the original mechs,
right?
That then these new ones are based off of. So I believe that that's where he's going to come in. He's going to, in the big final fight, the United Forces are going to be using that against Zaofu's battle mechs.
That would be great. I mean, we could always use more mech on mech battles.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, that has got to be the end all. Like, I think the last episode is just going to be this big expensive battle scene, and I cannot wait for it.
I hope that his counter mech is other mechs fusing together, Voltron style. Because that would be amazing.
That if we got like, especially if they were piloted by the Airbenders and they go like Megazord with them. It's like, because why not? We're already comparing them to the Jedi. At least I have been this entire time. Why not do the Power Rangers as well?
Yes. Can we make this happen? This is the thing. If it doesn't, it's going to be my fanfic.
So one way or another, it's happening.
Yes.
And then going into, I'm not sure what like Kuvira is planning to do with these spirit vines, but it's some kind of weapon to like either augment her bending ability to avatar levels, or just straight up, we got a giant Death Star ray gun that's going to point at Korra, because that's like the only thing that is stopping her.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming that kind of piggybacking off of that, it would be once she has her whole nation set up, or her empire set up, then it'll be a way of defending it in case anyone wants to take it away from her. So, I mean, if you have your empire and then these super lasers stationed all around it, no one's going to mess with you.
No one could.
Yeah.
Even the Fire Nation, even if they had dragon artillery and air support, that's still not, yeah. That's like the end all be all. And it could be that she's planning on doing a Sozin-style march to take out, first to take back the United Republic, because it'll be very easy for her to declare that the United Republic is just a Earth Kingdom state that is, you know, refusing to bow to her.
Right.
and then the Fire Nation will just be a wee bit of vengeance for a 100-year-long war. And then the Water Tribes will, I don't even know if she'll even try to conquer them. They'll just be like, yeah, I see you guys are both up and down there. Maybe you should stay that way.
Stay where you are and no one gets hurt. Yes, I want all of that. Yeah. I'm hoping that we get a lot more of these re-education camps. Like, we heard the word dropped a million times this episode, and now we get to one of our main characters going to one. So I really want it.
I think that that's where Bolin is going to end up, and I think he's going to lead a revolt.
Yeah.
And coming out of one. I think that's what's his storyline going on in the future, possibly joining with the Air Nomads, which we've only seen Opal and Tenzin's kids and Kai, and we know that there's a lot more of them.
Yeah.
Just spread out throughout, and maybe they've been captured and put into these re-education camps, because we saw those one guys capture Iki and declare her a spy.
Right. Okay. That would be cool. Just to kind of, I mean, because, I mean, we're assuming this is all leading up to one giant thing, and just to have all of these newly escaped rebel education camp people headed by Bolin would be an amazing finale.
I think it would be a great turn for him, possibly meeting up with Mako, and maybe Prince Wu will stop being so Prince Wu.
Yeah, redemptive arc for Prince Wu too.
That'll all be good. Well, Tori, I think that wraps us up for this.
Yes, sir.
Half hour of show. We'll see you guys all next week. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TaurijAY. You can also find me here at AfterBuzz TV on assorted panels like the Flash panel on Tuesdays and also the Arrow panel on Wednesdays.
And I'm John Quick. You can follow me on Twitter at @NowQuick. And guys, don't forget to comment, like, share on the YouTubes, and also to 5-star and comment on us on the iTunes. We do actually get to read these comments even if we don't get a chance always to respond, and it just lets our bosses know that you like what we're doing, so we can keep on doing it. And also, don't forget, follow Miss Liz Rishmaui. I think it's like
Lizzie Maui.
Yeah, at Twitter, and hopefully she will be back with us next week. And ladies and gentlemen, you enjoy your Sunday night. We'll see you all next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.